eyes as to what this is really about. Luke 15 and verse 8, short passage. Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses 1. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbours together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Loss and joy. Simple, not a complicated parable. I expect we could all explain it to one another in about 30 seconds. But then what does it mean for us? What does it mean for us here in this room? It's probably the bigger question here. So, excuse me. Let's ask a little bit of, let's see if we can get our imaginative juices going here. Last week we talked about losing someone. And most of us talked about losing one of our young children at some point. And I contacted the social services after church, just had a few concerns. But most of us with young children have had that rather scary experience of mislaying a child for a period of time. What about though today? This is not about a person. Well, last week was actually about a sheep, the earlier passage. But nonetheless, this time, what about a thing? What's, if you're willing to share it, the most valuable thing you've ever lost? And valuable could be in monetary terms or sentimental terms or whatever significance you want to describe it. What's the most valuable thing you've ever lost or mislaid? Yes?
The diamond in my engagement ring down the sink.
Oh, down the sink! Oh no! Did you ever get it back? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully somebody's been blessed somehow down the pipe eventually. Oh, that's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Yeah. What? Anything else? Something really valuable. That's,
we were canoeing in Hereford. My wife put all her valuables in her bag, but we forgot something in the back of the car. We came back and the bag was gone. She got everything replaced by insurance except the ring, which was my mother's engagement ring.
oh,
So,
an heirloom.
yes. That was not pleasant.
Oh. But those memories are very real, aren't they? Really immediate. There was a hand at the back. Was it Simon or no?
I have got one.
You have, yeah?
Well, it's the keys to my boss's van.
The keys to your boss's bag, not just your bag.
I have to explain to you, it's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, sorry, Barry.
I lost everything I owned.
Okay.
And it took me 4 years to get back to the point I was born where I owed nothing and owned nothing.
4 years of slog, just to get back to that point. Lord, I'm surprised you look as young as you do.
And that was 35 years.
Oh, gosh. Any more? Yeah, Dan?
When I was a young child, well not a child, we were 13 years of age, teenager, me and my family went to Malta and we all bought these Maltese crosses. They're quite a unique cross, the Maltese cross. My nana bought one, my brother got one, my mum got one, my dad got one, we all got the Maltese cross, and I lost it about a year later, and I was gutted, really like this Maltese cross. But it's not until sometimes later on in life you realise the value of something, and you've lost it.
Family connection is so powerful. Leon?
Last year on holiday, I went out and did a little bit of intuition in the evening, just as the sun was setting. And I went out and found an ideal spot, swap lenses in the middle of the field, heather, in a ditch. And I got back to the car afterwards and realised that my lens had dropped out of the creek. And I was about 10 minutes away from the car, where I'd been, in the middle of this. I hadn't obviously paid any attention to where I'd been or what I'd been doing. I focused on my own. So I spent the next half an hour in the fading light, looking for my lens. Eventually found it.
What a relief.
At the bottom of a ditch, underneath a bunch of hair.
Ouch. Wow. That was okay. Okay. And you were okay.
I was fine. Didn't tell sorry about it.
You did? Okay. Well, it's on camera now. So...
Electronic fob key to a building.
A fob key for a building, like an access thing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's awkward. Yeah, don't.
When we were on holiday in Sydney, we'd gone with, I think Bethany was maybe 18 months old and I was pregnant with Leia, so I had pushchair. It's one of those moments where you're walking around for the day and we left the pushchair outside for literally a few seconds while we'd gone to pick a coffee and came back and they'd taken our camera, the bag with the camera and nappies and stuff in. Nappies and stuff obviously wasn't all about. The camera had the entire 10 days that we'd been in Sydney on film. So I wasn't particularly bothered about losing the value of the camera. We were a bit, but not, it was all the photos we could never get back. And we've never got back. It's not like we've ever done any of that again. So it's just gone in the wind.
The memories, all
Yeah.
the pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how painful. I lost my wedding ring, which is one of those, I can really, not exactly, I don't know, I can kind of connect a bit more to what you were saying about your engagement ring. And I lost it somewhere in our house. You know, this is how long ago is this? 20 odd years ago. So the original wedding ring. Well, actually, this is a longer story, but actually I lost the original wedding ring before we got married. And yeah. So I went a week before we got married. I went out and bought the rings, and I had them in a bag. I had a small sort of suitcase, the sort of suitcase I've never had, not a suitcase, a briefcase that doesn't have a handle. You just tuck it on your arm, that kind of slim thing. And I had them in there. And I was meeting some people from church to go evangelizing. So I went down to Hammersmith Broadway, met some people to evangelize, and I was handing out some invitations and things like that. I was standing on a street corner on King Street in Hammersmith, and King's Road. And I put the bag down just literally behind my ankles, like almost touching the back of my ankles, just as I had to move some things around from pocket to pocket and do something. 30 seconds. And then I turned around and it had gone. And they just disappeared, so I had to go and buy some more. But at least we hadn't got married at that point, like it was just with the week before. And then I lost actually the wedding ring I got married with, and lost that in Manchester in the house I lived in, and I never found it. I have no idea to this day where it is. And I used to take it off at night. I didn't like having it on my hand at night. So the next time, then that year, we were in South Africa for a conference, and so I bought a replacement wedding ring whilst there, and I haven't taken this off for a long time. It's staying on this finger because I just don't trust myself not to lose this one. And, you know, when we lose things, they have an emotional effect on us. As I think, as I asked the question, for quite a lot of us, something very quickly came back to mind because of the emotive connection in losing something significant. Now, what are you talking about here? Well, with the kind of coins we're dealing with here, she loses them in the house, loses the coin in the house, and these coins, sometimes when you got married in that culture, your dowry was coins of significant monetary value, and they'd be sort of sewn together in a headdress, so you'd wear them round your head all the time, on a sort of almost like a chain coming round your head. So it's part of your dowry, and very significant in that sense. Or you might wear them as a necklace. And the loss of a coin was not then just of monetary value. I mean, it could be, a coin in those days like that could have been a day's wage in its value, or it could have been much more than that. It could have been part of this woman's life, savings, for example, because you didn't have banks and things in those days where you would deposit coins. In fact, cash was very rare in that culture. Most people didn't have much cash. It wasn't even safe to keep it, so you would barter and buy and sell things in that way. So it might be part of her life savings, is what she's losing here. Sorry to hear, Barry, about what happened to you, but you know, that idea of that loss of something that you think you need, not only as an emotional thing, but as a necessary thing in your life, and you depend upon it. This is probably what's going on in some sense for her. So it's a very significant loss. And in the parables in chapter 15, we're going from the loss of a sheep to a loss of a coin to, in the next parable, the loss of a son. And in a sense, two sons. But we'll come to that next week. So the losses are getting very intense. We're going from one sheep out of 99 and one coin out of 10 to ultimately losing a son or two sons out of two, maybe. So So it's an intensifying of the parables as we're going through Luke 15. So what we're going to talk about today is how the lost get found, and what's our part in this, and what we learn about the heart of God. So the first thing I think that I notice in this is the diligence of the woman when she realizes that she has lost one of the coins. She's very diligent. She searches until she finds it. She lights a lamp, which I've shown to you before, but this is a similar kind of design to the kind of lamp that she'd have had in her house. Not very big, you would think, wouldn't light very much in the house, but that's the sort of lamp that they had in those days. It didn't have bright lighting. So you'd have a small lamp with a small flame, and you'd have to go around your house looking. And the previous picture that I put up it gives you a rough idea of a household at that time. So we're talking about an area maybe this size. And in those days, in that climate, in that time, you'd have tiny windows like this. So there's very little light coming into the room. So you need a lamp even in the daytime. In this picture, we show somebody with a lamp very similar to what I have here. And it could be as dark in there as that even during the day, depending on the weather conditions and everything. So she's showing great diligence here. She's looking for one of these coins. So just to give you an idea of the kind of coins we're talking about in that period, I have here a few ancient coins. These aren't from the 1st century. These are reproductions, of course, but these go from, what's the earliest one here? Julius Caesar, 44 BC, through to some dates in AD. So this would be typical of the coins of the day. Not exactly the same, but similar. We're going to pass those around. This is a coin from the 300s, which is, I believe, from the 300s. AD, the time of Constantine. So those are reproductions, but this is something that comes from that period, if you want to pass that around. Gives a bit of an idea of the sort of coins we're talking about here. Very small, very dark, silver coins, but they wouldn't have been bright silver. They'd have been dulled by time and age and wear. Don't know how old they would have been, the ones that she had. But in other words, a dark, small coin in a dark room. Not easy to find, even though you know it's in the room. The ways to look for a coin like that would have been to obviously light a lamp like that and to use a broom. It wouldn't have been as light, that's outside. You use a broom because as you brush it against the floor, you may hear. It wouldn't maybe help you see to find the coin, but you hear it clink. It might have been the floor of the house would have been lightly compressed dirt, but there may have been a few bits of stone in there, a bit like a cobbled street with dirt laid over the top. Maybe a bit, could have been like that. So you might hear the clink of the coin even before you see it. You might need to get down on your hands and knees to search like that and to use a lamp the best you can to see what's actually going on. So she seeks until she finds. She keeps looking until she finds it. She keeps going with perseverance until it's found. Let me ask you, how does this apply to our own imitation of God in His perseverance with humankind? What does this mean for our outreach? What does this mean for the way that we interact with people that we hope to bring into a relationship with God? What is this picture of this woman seeking diligently for this coin? What strikes you about what that's teaching us about our attitude towards seeking that which is lost, those who are lost? What comes to your mind? Perseverance. Can we just explore that a little bit? And that's right. What does it mean? I mean, it's right, but what does perseverance mean? Not giving up? Yeah. Okay. What else?
I think practically for me, it's not. You're kind of in a friendship. Whoever you're helping, you're trying to persevere in friendship, and that means persevering through hurts, persevering through decisions that you don't agree with, or that you're trying to help them understand, or just sitting with them, coming alongside them.
coming alongside and sticking
Yeah.
with helping those people. Okay, good, thank you. What else? Okay,
Staying with the difficulty. Yeah.
staying with the difficulty,
Yeah.
which means accepting it, that it's difficult.
Yeah.
That's how it is. There's nothing wrong necessarily. The fact that it's difficult doesn't mean something's wrong. Okay, thank you. Good. Yeah. Anything else? Persevering.
I think it's also making every effort. Like she made the effort to sleep. She made the effort to light the lamp. Maybe she could have saved it for a better reason. She would probably burned it out looking for the coin. Just doing everything possible in her power to look for it.
Leaving no stone unturned in
Yeah.
another metaphor. Yeah. Keeping going in that sense. Okay, let me show you a little video which I discovered recently, and this is about a person in one of our sister churches, this time in Sydney, Australia. Earlier. So this video hopefully will work and we can hear it. Let's see.
Right from when I became a disciple, my desire was for my family to come to heaven with me. I became a disciple. In fact, my husband and I started studying the Bible with Mike and Terry, and it became fairly obvious that Dave and I weren't on the same page spiritually. And he stopped studying with Mike, and I continued with Terry. And so I was baptised on the 15th of December in 1982. I can't do the work of the Holy Spirit. That was pretty hard. Because I'd really like to engineer it and have them, all of us, to be close and know a relationship, family relationship with Jesus. Because that's my greatest prayer, that one day their hearts will soften and they'll listen to Him. Mum was always a very big part of our lives, Mum and Dad. And so I would encourage Mum to study the Bible with me, or come to church, come to women's days, which she did. She was always loving and she would want to please me and she'd come. But she would also have a few little disagreements with Jesus. She said, well, I'll have something to say to Jesus on the last day about that. I said, I don't think so, Mum. I think he'll be facing the dust. Anyway, that was the end of that discussion, and she didn't come to church again for quite some time. And so it went on like that for many, many years. Back there was a chair that Mum and Dad and I used to sit on and just enjoy the view. It was beautiful on a day like today. Gorgeous.
And two of my three sisters. I'm on the left. Here's my husband with myself. It must be about 5 years ago, something like that.
And in the meantime, my dad had become quite frail, and he passed away about 3.5, 4 years ago. So about a year later, I asked her to start studying the Bible again with me, and Mum was quite different. She wanted to read the Bible, she started reading, and she started praying, and she started coming to church regularly. And she would say things like, I don't know why I didn't do this years ago. So, even though it took 31 years before Mum decided that she would obey God's words, that she would be baptised, for me, it was confirmation of how God answers prayer. It was a long time, 31 years. But finally, there is a member of my family, which I've been praying about for all those years, who is a disciple.
I have to tell you that my thoughts always run to heavenly things. When I'm sitting in that chair next to you, looking at the sky and the trees, and I love it. I feel close to God.
It gives me a fantastic feeling as we stand together in church and we sing and we hug each other and we talk about, in peace like a river. When she's crossed that river, she'll be waiting on the other side with Jesus. And my prayer, of course, is still for my husband and my children and their families to be with us. There's a bond, I think, that's grown stronger between us. And I'll say, would you like to pray, Mum? Oh no, she says, you do it better than me. But you do.
Yeah, I'd love to listen to you.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yes, I do.
Just trust in the Lord and never give up.
Don't give up. Perseverance, like you said. Reaching out for 31 years, I think she said. And then until her mum was in her 90s, 90, was she now 92? 92. Gosh. I mean, I sometimes struggle to pray for someone for more than a few weeks. 31 years. Maybe a good thing for us to ask ourselves, have we given up? I mean, we can't pray for everybody all the time, but you know what I mean? Somebody we kind of know that God's put in our lives for a reason, somebody we've prayed for with passion before. Last night I was at a 70th birthday party down in Wokingham for a chap called Johan Ferreira. I don't know if any of you know the Ferreira family, but Johan and his wife Sharon, they were in Bristol Church for a long time. They're in Thames Valley these days. He became a Christian in Johannesburg. And his daughter became a Christian first. And three of her 4 children are disciples. And her husband, her second husband. And it was his 70th birthday, and I went over and said to him, how did you become a Christian? And he said because, and he said why. He was a very religious guy before, and he wasn't open to his daughter teaching him or telling him much about the Bible. She tried, and he said the breakthrough came when he found out, he either saw it or he found out that his daughter was praying for him so passionately on her knees that her tears left a damp stain in the carpet. And he said, when he found that out, he said, okay, I'll study the Bible. And he said, from that point on, the word just made sense. It opened his heart. And I thought, gosh, it's not about the words of his daughter, it's about her prayer, it's about that faithfulness of perseverance in that way. And for myself, I think I need to reassess. Who have I given up praying for? In my own family, in my old friends. This time of year reminds me of this because I started writing my Christmas cards the other day. And I started by writing the ones I would need to post. And those are mostly either my more distant relatives or old friends, university friends, even friends from school days. I still send a card to. And as I wrote the names on these envelopes, I realised I don't pray for many of them much at all. But I would still count them a friend. So why don't I pray? So I think it's something that struck me for myself in this area. Perhaps there's somebody God's put on your heart to persevere with. Maybe that's a good thing to think about a little bit here. Let's talk about the joy for a minute. She finds her coin and she is very happy, and she gets her friends and neighbours around and they have a good old tambourine and flute dance rejoicing. I don't know what they're doing there exactly. Let me ask you to cast your minds back about half an hour. So about half an hour ago, the children were in here and Joe talked about the coins being all over the place. And then it was like, ready, set, go, and they scrambled, right? Okay, what was noticeable about the approach of the children today? To the seeking, to the searching, what was noticeable? Eagerness. Okay, good, thank you. Eagerness. What else? What else was noticeable about the way they went about their searching?
Desperation. Desperation.
Desperation. Yes. They were joyful. It was having the burden.
Excited.
They were excited.
Urgent.
They were urgent, yeah.
There's no order. It was no plan. There was just go find.
Right. Yes. It's not like they had to follow a protocol.
No.
Just go. Yeah, okay. Anything else? Anything else noticeable? Why did they have such joy? What was the joy? What was the origin of the joy? Eating chocolate. Anticipated reward. Okay. Anticipated reward. Okay. And why were they so zealous? As opposed to being, well, I don't know. Why were they so zealous?
They were sure they were going to find it.
They were confident. Okay. They were confident they were going to find. Why? Why were they confident?
They believed what Joe said, that the chocolate's around.
They believed Joe. And why did they believe Joe?
They trusted.
Okay. And they trusted because they know him. Okay. They know him. They know most of the kids know most of us pretty well. And particularly they know Joe because Joe's Mr. Children's Ministry person. I mean, he's right annually. So I mean, just, all of the kids love Joe. It's one of those things, isn't it? And because he's spent a lot of time talking to them, and they know him, and he's done classes and teaching, and he's affectionate, and he's warm, and he's caring, and he's interested, and there's a relationship, right? There's a relationship, which means there's trust, and therefore when he says there are coins, they don't even question it. They go. I think there's a lot for us to learn from that, isn't it? Jesus said the harvest is plentiful. He didn't say the harvest is weak, the harvest is thin, the harvest is practically non-existent. He said the harvest is plentiful, and nothing's changed, I don't think, from 2,000 years, right? And he also said, I will be with you. He also commanded us to go to make disciples because that's possible. And we can talk about a lot more of the promises that he gives us. But it's about the relationship with Jesus that gives us the confidence that there will be joy at the end of the search. The joy doesn't become at the beginning, it comes later, right? That's what the kids discovered. I think that's part of it. It's anticipating the joy because we trust the one who sent us on our mission. So what gets in the way? This is our final thought before we move on here. But what gets in? What stops us from acting on the promises that the harvest is plentiful? What gets in the way? Nothing got in the way for the kids today. Not at all. They ran around till they found what they wanted to find. What gets in the way? What prevents us from being childlike in that sense?
Experience.
In what sense?
Past hurt, past things that have happened. You then decide them happen again. So you stop.
Disappointments
from
the past. Okay.
Personality.
Personality.
Yeah, you may be a shy inward person.
Being more introverted.
Difficult.
Okay. Alright. Good, okay. Anything else? Get in the way? Lethargy. Caused by, could be a number of things, but what sort of things? Too much carbohydrate in the diet?
I think doubt that the thing is there. Doubt that you will actually find it, so you just give up.
Some doubt. Yeah.
It comes about you rather than about God.
Okay, when it's more about us than it's about God. God's not so big in the picture. We're our fears or our doubts.
Are they going to like me? Are they going to think I'm stupid or weird?
Okay.
We put ourselves into the equation.
Okay. And we forward think
too much
about what the result might be rather than actually just, why don't we just
overanalyze.
Over-analysis. Paralysis by analysis.
Paralysis by overanalysis.
Analysis. Yeah. Okay. Good. I mean, I think it's different for different people. And for somebody it might be that sort of shyness, that fear. For others it might be something else. It's good to know ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good to know ourselves, and it's good to help each other. Because some of us struggle more with doubt, others struggle more with fear, others struggle more with maybe lethargy. I don't know, but we can help each other because we've got different strengths. So maybe that's the thing to think about for ourselves. What gets in our way of just being bold and confident in the way that we reach out to the people that God has given us here? So, with those thoughts in mind about the eagerness and diligence of the woman and perseverance, and then also the joy that's anticipated and the faith that really should be ours in our outreach, I thought it'd be great to hear from Kate. So, thanks for sharing last week about how you became a Christian, but it's Kate's turn now, and we're delighted to have you come and share with us how you became a Christian.
Come on, Kate.
After Kate, then Asagi will come up and draw our thoughts together before we take the meeting together.
Come on, Kate.